Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Literally Who Cares. I'm a bit jumbled at the moment because I found out that just give me a second. I found out that the laptop that I'm using now doesn't have monitoring, and that's why I can't ever hear myself in the headphones. But I need the headphones to hear the intro so I know when to come in. So that's an explanation for why I take off the headphones every single time. Welcome back. This is a podcast where you come to learn how to live as the best version of yourself. Here, you'll discover all the tips and resources you need to start living your dream life. Today, we're going to talk about defining your values. Last week, we talked about vulnerability, and I swear I probably said vulnerability at least 500 times. As I'm editing these, I don't know why I say so much. So I'm going to challenge myself to not say it as much in this episode so the editing process is a lot easier. My co-host is passed out on the floor, laying on his Chewy. I took him for a walk earlier, and it was a great success. Okay. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about values. We're going to be talking about what they are and how to define them in your personal life. So honestly, let's just jump right into it. I'm actually really excited for this episode because a lot of research for this episode, it was really enlightening because I'm like, oh wait, I don't actually know what values are. And I don't know if I have any. Of course, we all have values, but I didn't have any specific defined values that I felt like I was living my life by. Understanding values. We're going to define values. Values are a person's principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. Values often stem from cultural, religious, familial, or personal experiences and can evolve over time as individuals grow and encounter new perspectives. They can help individuals prioritize their goals and actions. For example, someone who values family might choose a career that allows for work-life balance rather than one that demands excessive hours. When faced with ethical dilemmas, individuals often rely on their values to determine right from wrong. A person who values honesty may choose to return a lost wallet rather than keep it. Values can also guide us in setting personal and professional goals. If health is a core value, a person might maintain a healthy lifestyle that focuses on eating well and staying active. Shared values within a community contribute to cultural and social norms. Respect for elders, for example, is a value that shapes behavior in many societies. Value shapes a lot of decision-making and behavior. Understanding and reflecting on our values can lead to more deliberate and meaningful choices to help us living a fulfilling life. So the reason that I'm bringing up values in the mix of all of this, and especially in the beginning, is because I feel like having set values, having core values that you follow and you believe is going to help you towards living as your most authentic self. Like I said, or like I read just a little bit ago, they really you determine certain choices that you make. So for example, I'll use myself as an example. I wouldn't say I had bad values. I just didn't have really set defined values. My values were kind of all over the place, not necessarily in a good headspace. And so I was making a lot of choices, a lot of personal choices for all the wrong reasons and not following any set values. I honestly feel like growing up, I didn't have a lot of strong values that were taught to me as a kid. And so it was really just, make decisions on a whim, do whatever makes you feel good, don't really worry about what other people think, which I wouldn't say are bad things, but now that I'm getting older and I'm an adult, my values have changed a lot. It's really interesting to see. So I think understanding what values are and how they can shape our lives and shape our future, it's not even just right now. Certain choices that you make today can be a huge defining factor of what your life will look like in the future. And so as I'm starting to define my values and then set goals based on those values, I can already start to see a huge change in the direction that my life is going now based on where I would be if I hadn't set those values, if hopefully that makes sense. So I'm not just going to give you guys an example, these are what values are, and then not give you the tools to identify your own values. Because we can talk about values all day. I have great values. I was taught values, whatever. But defining the values, I think, is what's really, really important. So here we go. Identifying your personal values. It can be difficult to figure out your values when you're put on the spot. Some of you may have grown up in an environment where certain values were taught or enforced from a young age. So it's easier to identify them. On the other hand, some of you may have very strong values but have never identified them. Some of you may be like me, where you're in a phase of your life where your values are changing, and it's time to reevaluate what is important moving forward. Either way, I have found some exercises that will help you identify your values. These are some fun ones, honestly. So the first one is the 5 whys. Pick a situation in your life and ask yourself why 5 times. I thought this one was really fun. So the example I'm going to use is the podcast. So the question or the situation is, I want to start a podcast. Why? Okay. Why? I like to yap. Okay. Why? I am a creative and I need a creative outlet in order to feel fulfilled in life. Why? One day in the future, I want to be self-employed and make my career based on, I want to share and connect with people who may be going through certain situations, similar situations that I am going through, and not be afraid to talk about it and bring people together in a self-improvement way. Why? I want to be a stay-at-home dog mom. Why? I honestly just love sharing and thinking differently and sharing my thoughts. Okay, so 5 whys. They kind of all are the same, but you get what I'm saying. They don't have to make sense to anybody else, but if they make sense to you, those are your 5 whys. So obviously my values are around mental health, Walter, professional, calm environments. What was the other one? Getting out of retail and working for myself at my own pace. Okay, those are my values. But also experience and learning and growing. That's a huge value of mine. But that's the first one, okay? The 5 whys. You have a situation in your head. If there's something going on, ask yourself why 5 times, and your values will start to repeat themselves of why you're doing certain things. So I really like that one. The next one is a little bit easier and it'll help you out more. Online, you can find assessment quizzes, so core value assessment quizzes. I took one and it's a free test online, and I will link it in the description below. This one was a bit weird because it's like you choose some of the things that are important to you, and then you kind of have to weigh them up against each other. So it was a little bit weird, but there's a bunch of free ones on there. Also, don't be tricked by the ones who are like, oh, free, and then they're like, okay, give me your email and this is $1. There were so many of those I ran into, but this one is definitely free for sure. It does take a while, but if you're interested in figuring out your core values, I would suggest it. The next thing, and this is like my all-time favorite thing to do. I don't know why I'm doing this, but it's my favorite thing, is visualize your dream life. What do you want your dream life to look like? Imagine your ideal future. Identify values behind those visions. Visualizing helps clarify values you want to prioritize. I'm a Pinterest board girly. I have a Pinterest board for everything. I have a Pinterest board for Walter. Like, I can't even tell you how many, but let's look up how many boards I have on Pinterest real quick. I have about 33 boards. From recipes to hosting to my dream house to apartments, nails, hair, clothes, Walter, like I said, like everything. If I have an idea, I need to visualize it. I'm a very visual person. That's why I went to school for graphic design, okay? But visualize it, see it. Go on Pinterest and make a board right now, okay? Just start looking up things you like. And some of those things, some of those pictures that you gravitate towards, your values are hidden behind those pictures. So for example, I have a board called Just Manifesting, and I was kind of scrolling through it and seeing some of the key things that just kept popping up and repeating themselves. So for me, faith recently has been a really big one for me. Another thing is friends. My friends are so important to me. They are my biggest supporters, and I absolutely love them to death. That's a value for me. Hanging out with my friends, spending time with my friends, making sure my friends are okay. That is a top priority for me. Another thing is family and future family and relationships. That's very important to me. I hold those things very highly. So yeah, start a Pinterest board, start saving things that make you feel like, oh, I want my life to look like that, okay? And then start to read the values that are coming through those pictures. Like, I want a big house one day. I want to live out in the country. Like, there are certain values hidden behind the pictures that you save. All right, so now that we have figured out our values, it's time to start aligning your life with your values. So the biggest one is decision making, and I feel like this was a hard one for me. Once I started to realize, oh, hey, these are my values. Okay, now I need to start making decisions based on those values. Aligning daily choices with values can lead to more consistent and satisfying outcome. Once I started to let my values guide me, I started to feel so much more confident in myself and found peace in the life I am creating. The next thing is setting goals. Start letting your values guide your goals and achievement. By doing this, you may start to notice a shift not only in your life, but the way you interact with the world around you. I have so much to say right now, but I'm going to wait until I read the third one. Overcoming conflict. The conflict can come from family, friends, old habits, or past communities. Remember to be kind to yourself. It's okay to make mistakes. That means you're growing. If you begin to struggle living your values, do the previous exercises as a reminder. I have a lot to say about this, okay? So, one of my values is health. And hi, pumpkin boy. You want to lay down right there? My co-host has woken up. Hi, mister. Oh my goodness, that was a big yawn. So one of my recent values that I have defined for myself and I'm trying to align my life with is health and taking care of my body physically. The first one that I said was making decisions. So when it comes to health, this has been hard, but I've been doing it and I've been doing a good job, okay? Some of the decisions that I've been making is trying to eat better. But the top of my list is working out at least 4 times a week. And in order to do that, I have to work out before work because I have no motivation during work or after work. So that means getting up at 5 a.m. and going to the gym, okay? It's hard, but we're doing it slowly but surely. the pounds are coming off. Okay, Miss Girl. I just weighed myself today and I'm like, okay. But I had to make that decision and I had to be consistent with it in order to see the outcome. So in doing that and knowing that my value was health, I had to start setting goals. So I started setting my goals around that value of health. And then I had to overcome the conflicts of not wanting to go to the gym. People thinking I'm crazy for going to the gym at 5 a.m. Girl, I know. But I also know myself, and I'm not going to do it unless I go at 5 a.m. So that's just an example of making decisions, setting goals, and overcoming conflicts when you start to align yourself with maybe those new values or reintroduced values. The next thing is challenges and growth. Recognizing value shifts, which is what I'm going through right now. Values can evolve and change over time. It is important to revisit them every so often. As you continue to grow in your authenticity, it is very interesting to see how your values change. I encourage all of you to keep a journal of your values so you can go back and see your growth. This one's actually really interesting. I journal, and I have been journaling for a few years now, and sometimes I don't like to go back and look because I'm like, girl, what was you thinking? But it's also really interesting to see how 20-year-old me thought and where her values were versus, oh my God, 26-year-old me and the values. It's crazy. My values have completely changed, okay? I was just talking to somebody the other day. I'm like, I'm not a partier. I don't want to party. I want to stay home. Like, I was a homebody before, but I am a homebody. I want to go out and do things, but I'm not trying to be up on the bar top at 3 a.m. like 20-year-old Alexis was. And girl was having a good time. Like, I don't regret any of it, but that's just not where my values are anymore. And that's totally okay. But it's really important to revisit those because they do change. And there's nothing wrong with them changing. When I have kids, my values are going to change, okay? So yeah, it's really important to just revisit those and check in with those. And just remember that we're all human and our values may not align with everybody. I mean, that's the point. We have our own values, we have our own goals, we have our own future. But it's important to know that the people that you're surrounding yourself with have similar values. And if they don't, that might need to be something you have a little chat with yourself about. Because if you're trying to live one way and they're living a different way, there's going to be a lot of challenge to stay consistent with your own goals. I really think that's all I have for values today. Hopefully all of that made sense. And if not, hopefully my editing skills are great so I can edit it to make it make sense. Let's move right into our mindful moment. I'll go ahead and remind everybody what a mindful moment is real quick. A mindful moment is a special segment where we take time to hear personal stories of growth and joy shared by our audience. It's a time to celebrate experiences that shape our lives and inspire us to be better. In the absence of a mindful moment, I will share a relevant Bible verse that aligns with our theme or our discussion, providing a spiritual perspective that enriches our understanding and connection. I know some of my viewers may not be religious or may not relate to the story being shared, but I want you to listen with an open mind and an open heart and take what resonates. This segment is designed to foster a sense of community and encouragement, offering a safe space of reflection and inspiration. We do not have a mindful moment. I'm looking at you guys. Come on, guys. Give me something. But that is okay because I am prepared to share my own story of finding my own values as an adult, which I kind of already touched on a little bit. But like I said, basically, growing up, I did not know what values were. I did not have any defined values. I was a really good kid. I was very quiet. I was very kept to myself. Basically until I got to middle school and realized, I have a brain, I have a personality. Then I became crazy and started to shape the personality that I have today, which is great. But as I went through high school and just mostly high school, I was really not a great person. I don't want to say I was a bad person. I was a kid, but my values were completely out of whack. I really didn't care much about anything other than only what I wanted. I've talked about my story a little bit with church and all of that, but I really just cared about how I looked and how I came off to people and boys and my friends, and really that's all I cared about. And that turned into a really bad situation, which made me spiral downhill very, 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 very fast to when I got to college and I had no idea who I was. And I would say up until the last year, I still just had no values and really had no idea what I was doing with my life or where I was going. But now I feel like I'm finally becoming an adult and maturing a little bit and realizing that there are things that I want to implement in my life, and there is a certain way that I want to shape myself for the future. And just starting to understand that in order to have my future look a certain way, it starts now. Like wanting my dream body, like it starts now. Wanting a certain amount of money in the bank, wanting knowledge, wanting experience, wanting that career, like it starts now. Like it doesn't just appear. Like the hard work starts now. And setting those goals and getting to that, that all just kind of clicked when I turned 26 and my brain was fully developed. So yeah, that's kind of my personal story with values, and just understanding that they are important, and recognizing certain values in other people is important, and who I have around me. So I did take that test, the core value assessment quiz that I will link in the description. And here are some of the values that that quiz gave me, but also some that I just know I have myself. So from that quiz, I got faith, honesty, respect, kindness, family and friends, growth, creativity, peace, and authenticity. And if you know me, I would say that's very true. Okay, anyway, thank you for letting me yap, okay? Thank you for supporting me and just letting me yap, because I needed this today, because my brain, I woke up and I just didn't want to. That's it. So, now that we have talked about values, we figured out what they are, how to define them, the next step in aligning your life with them, and the challenges that you may face as you grow and change and evolve on your journey. Yeah, that's really it. Next week, we are going to be talking about overcoming the fear of judgment. If you have any great stories about that, I would love to hear them. I will put a link in the description below so that you can get to my website. You can scurry on over to my website and you can send me a message or a story about a time that you overcame judgment, or you overcame the fear of judgment. I would love to hear your stories. Please. This was a big one. I feel like we've all dealt with judgment, so I'm really excited to record that episode and share it with all of you. So please share your stories. I would love to hear them. And yeah, I mean, if you don't want to share a story, I would also just love to chat and say hi to all my listeners, because I know you guys are out there. I know you are. All right. Make sure you are following me on all my socials: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Literally, who cares, with 3 S's for all of them. Follow Walter Bean, I think with 3 N's. And then obviously my main account, Alexis Bijor, for both TikTok and Instagram. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I will talk to you next week. Love ya. Bye.